Hi, guys, and welcome back. It's been a while. I hope all of you are doing well. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the topic of shame, and I wanted to start out by reading a quote by Brene Brown. Shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Shame is something that I have struggled with since I was a child. I always felt that I was different and that being different made me bad, and so I felt ashamed of who I was. And obviously, the reason why I felt different is because I'm bipolar, and because bipolar isn't diagnosed till late teens, early 20s. I didn't know it at the time, but I was born that way. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. Um, I grew up, um, like I said, feeling different. I was treated differently by my family, and I felt singled out. I felt like I was different, and being different is a bad thing. And I'm not saying that they meant to make me feel that way, but that's how I felt. And as I got older and did get the diagnosis of bipolar, it started becoming a situation where if anything went wrong, it was my fault because I'm the one with the mental illness. I'm the one with the problems. And that excused everybody else of accepting responsibility for the things that they had done. And that wasn't okay. That just added to my shame. That it wasn't like, oh, we had a problem. It's like, oh, Kristen, you are the problem. So it's been really hard to deal with. I struggle with it today just as much as I did when I was a child. I think another piece of shame is all of us that are mentally ill will have times where our behaviors are erratic, where they might be things that were completely against our character. Um, and we may do things that we normally wouldn't do. And, people will look on those things and judge us for it. And so I've felt shame, for some of the things I've done in the past that I do regret doing. Um, but I shouldn't have never been ashamed of who I am as a person. And that's how I felt that because I'm mentally ill, I am a bad person, and so that's really hard. I think that this is my personal opinion, that we as mentally ill people do not have to be defined by our illnesses, and it certainly isn't our character, but there's a part of us that we can't separate from our illness. And so, like I said, when I felt like ashamed for being mentally ill, I felt like I was ashamed. I should be ashamed of who I am as a person. Like those two things weren't separated. Just like if someone has cancer, they can't separate their body from the cancer. And so it's just been something that I've struggled a lot with. Um, I don't have any, magic formula of how to deal with shame. It's just a difficult thing to deal with. But I will give you a little bit of advice. But before I do that, I want to read this quote, and it's also by Brene Brown. The difference between shame and guilt is the difference between I am bad and I did something bad. And I think that, like I said, there's a huge difference between, you know, oh, I did drugs and I shouldn't have done drugs and I feel bad about it, and feeling like I'm a bad person because I did drugs, or I'm a bad person because I'm mentally ill, And so, anyway, that's one thing I'd have to say. And then to ways to combat shame, I would say, first of all, be aware of how you're talking to yourself. A lot of us are very critical of ourselves, and so do your best to be empathetic toward yourself. Um, be around people that don't judge you and just accept you for who you are, and stay away from people that tear you down, that make you feel ashamed. Um, so anyway, that's just a little bit about my experience with shame, and I'm sure all of you have had different times in your life where you have struggled with it as well. So I'm sorry I don't have a lot of advice to offer you all, but I felt like excuse me, I should share some of my experience and just touch on the topic a little bit. And I wanted to leave off with one other quote, and that is by Brene Brown also. If we can share our story with someone that responds with empathy and understanding, shame can't survive. And I just think that's an amazing quote, and it's so true. And, shame can't exist where there's empathy and there's understanding. So take care, guys, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon.